basically we're going to be flying the Mavic Mini indoors, which I believe will fly okay indoors. Basically, just to give you a difference in size comparison, that's the sort of difference in size. So if I can try and put them up similar to each other, there we go. See that? Close to the camera, that one there. Yeah, so big difference in size. One weighs just under 250 grams, the other weighs 80 grams with the battery. That's 249 grams, I think, with the battery. But basically, yeah, so, and obviously this one's about $100. This one's going to set you back sort of nearer to $500. So, but one has a 4K camera, one has 720p, one records to SD card, the other streams to your phone. So, it's like anything, basically, the more money you spend, the better value you're going to get. I think generally for flying indoors, you probably want this. I don't have prop guards for the DJI Mavic Mini. Basically, I don't have any. It doesn't come with the Fly More combo on the Mini 2. The Mini 1 did have prop guards in the Fly More combo. Anyway, you can buy them separately, but I didn't have them, so I'm going to try and fly it. So hopefully we won't crash or cut anything up in the room. But basically, yes, the Tello we flew previously, that had prop guards, but it's a little bit more unsteady compared to this. So let's see. Basically, we just want to be careful with it. Right, I'm going to put it in the right mode. So we've got it in 4K 30. Yep, I'm going to record on the drone. Right, saying compass calibration required. So I'm going to do that now. Right, so if we do a start on that, okay. So rotate the aircraft horizontally as per the instructions on the screen, and now nose up and do it vertically. There we go, and it'll tell you when it's successful, and that's done. So we're all happy with that. It still carried on recording, which is amazing. Right, now I don't think we want to do a takeoff. We want to arm the motors. Hang on. There you go, like that. So you pull, to arm the motors, you pull the sticks sort of down to the, like on the left hand stick, down to the left kind of corner, bottom corner, and the right corner on the other side. So that kind of gives you manual takeoff. Right, so now we've taken off. Well, basically you don't want to do the auto takeoff because you go straight into the ceiling potentially. So it probably won't, but there's no obstacle avoidance sensors on the drone, so you don't want to go straight up and hit your ceiling, so you need to be careful there. I just want to check, do we have anything about return to home? We do have a return to home height. I'm just wondering if there's any way of saying don't return to home. We want it to hover basically, and I think they might have taken away that option. Don't see the option in here, so bit of a pain. No, I don't see any more information. Maybe don't want to update the home point, so I think we'll be okay. We just have to be careful. What we don't want is it to lose signal and then try and return home by going up to 70 meters high. So basically, let's see if I can bring it over to the camera. I want to be careful. What you want to do as well is switch to cine mode, like that. That makes the drone go slower. So basically, yeah. So you can see it in front of the camera. It's going, it's going pretty well so far, I'd say. Pretty happy with that. Okay. So far, I'd say this is more stable than the Tello. I'd say the Tello doesn't fly as well indoors as this. But of course, you got to remember the price differences. So, right, we're going to take it into the front room. Thing is, I think with the Tello, it's more a bit of fun. You pull it out, you go into the, you fly about. You're not so worried about hitting things. I think with the Mavic Mini, you're sort of a little bit more nervous, really. But yeah, it's definitely good, and you're getting a much better picture on the, it does create a lot more sort of draft. So it's basically, you know, the propellers are definitely messing with the blinds a lot more than what we had with the Tello. The Tello felt like a drone you could kind of fly about quite fast indoors. I think the Mavic Mini I'm being much more careful because I don't have the prop guards, and also it's a much more expensive drone, so you're a bit more worried about breaking it. I did have spare propellers and stuff with it, so I don't think it would be too much of an issue. One thing you're not going to get with the Mavic Mini as opposed to the Tello is stuff like the 8D flips. So you're not going to get sort of specifically designed for indoor party tricks because it's really not an indoor drone. I mean, it's sort of a, you know, it's a nice idea to have a go with it, and it's definitely, look, it's having no problems flying around the kitchen. So I'm not saying it can't do it. I certainly would stick to the Mavic Mini indoors if you're going to use a bigger, proper drone. What I wouldn't use is something like a Xeno. A Xeno would just, it would just fly everywhere. So, right, so yeah, I'm going to turn around, zoom out, right, yeah, I can go forward again, right, yeah. I'm just being very careful. Definitely stick it in cine smooth mode, stick it in the sort of cine mode, because that will give you a much better, you know, it'll move a lot slower. I mean, it can go fast, you know, when you've got to really, I mean, I've got to really get this, I'm going to move it over. So I tell you what, the precision control compared to the Tello is really good actually. Right, so I can fly quite fast and the drone does stop pretty well. Yeah, it's getting easier. Right, I'm going to turn it round and then I'm going to sort of drop the camera down. See, this is the difference. See, with the Tello, you're not going to get, that Tello is not going to have like the ability to drop the camera up and down. You can't do this sort of thing. You're not going to get the decent 4K footage. It's just not going to have that. Right, so if I go fast, it's quite fast. It can, I think, like anything, you start to get used to it, but don't get too cocky. But basically, yeah, you know, we're seeing that. I think if you line this up, we've got quite a nice clean path. Can I go straight forward? No, see, the thing is, you've got to get it right, I think. You've got to get it right. You've got to get it right lined up. And then, boom. Ooh. Nope. There we go. See, I got too cocky, basically. I got way too cocky. I don't think it's done any damage. I don't think it's done any damage to that. I think they're all right. And the thing is, I think I might even be on my second pair of propellers. But yeah, just have a quick look at your propellers. Make sure it's all good. But it looks like I got away with that. But yeah, I got too cocky, basically. I was going too fast. And I realised at the last second that I couldn't pull away from the door. So you have to be a bit careful. But here we go. No GPS fly with caution, of course. That's definitely advised. Right, so yeah, basically give yourself plenty of room. It will drift slightly to the left or to the right, so you have to be very careful. So yeah, we're definitely, have we got, yeah, it looks to me like the camera's not level anymore, so that might be interesting to look at. Maybe the gimbal needs, there might be something to recenter the gimbal. Let's just look at the camera. Thing is, you don't know if you're going to do some damage to the camera. That's the thing, do you? Right, hang on. Ooh, hang on. Hang on. It was definitely behaving weirdly there. So I'm going to try and move the camera up and down. Yeah, the camera's moving. I just think it's like a little bit, doesn't look like it's totally level, but it's probably a case of that it needs recentering. So maybe let's take it back towards the, take it back to the table a second and let's give it a look. But yeah, basically the camera does look off to me. So I think we need to take it back. Hopefully we haven't done any damage to ourselves there. So it's landing. I just want to have a look at this camera, just make sure there's no damage to it. I don't think there will be. I mean, looking at it, it looks okay. It's just a bit, it's at an angle, isn't it? So one thing we can do, turn off the recording. I think basically turn off the drone and do a reset. Actually, hang on, where's the button? Pushing the wrong button there. Right, so now let's let it boot back up again and let it do something, because it'll try and reinitialize the camera. So hopefully I haven't damaged it, but yeah, you got to be really careful, you know, because definitely indoors, you know, you can have an issue. So let's have a look. Yeah, I don't know, it's not coming back into line, is it? Yeah, it's not coming back into line there. Let's have a look at the camera, make sure that there's no marks on it. But yeah, basically it caught the edge and then just kind of went flying down. So yeah, I don't recommend flying indoors really. But you know, it's a bit of fun. But the trouble is these are much more pricier drones. So yeah, it's definitely not, the camera's definitely not level. So what we need to try and do is have a look. How do you reset? Aircraft restart, reset camera parameters. Maybe do that. Don't think that's going to sort out the gimbal though, but we'll have a look. We'll have another look at the settings in a second. But yeah, these are the dangers of flying indoors. So I don't recommend doing it if you can get away with it really. Because basically it's just not worth doing by the looks of it. So as you can see, I did see gimbal like reset earlier. It was here, so gimbal mode, recenter gimbal. Let's see what happens now. Let's see what we get. Hang on, has it recentered it? So pick up the cat. You know, I don't think it is level now. I really don't think it's level. So there's definitely something has occurred that has knocked it off being level. So yeah, it's not good. So yeah, definitely a dangerous thing to do, I'd say, because that is not level now. It definitely has knocked something out of position, hasn't it? So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look like anything's damaged on it. I'm not sure if it hit the camera or not though, that's the thing. But yeah, it's moving around. Yeah, I don't know really. Let's see. Sometimes these things sort themselves out, but yeah, look, that gimbal is definitely not. It's definitely not. It's definitely not in. So hang on. Place it on a. Yeah. So I'll place it on a level surface. You know, it doesn't look damaged to me. There's nothing that looks like completely damaged. So yeah, I'm surprised if it'll be anything more than just needing a calibration. Yeah, that to me looks level now. I think that's level. Yeah, I think that is level. Right, so let's go into yeah, I think you just have to be very careful. I think you just have to basically make sure that you don't sort of like go too crazy. I think I was just way too crazy. Right, so hopefully, so just want to make sure that the camera's all behaving as it should. Right, yeah. So go up slightly. Just really carefully, just sort of. Yeah, I'm just going to be very careful with it. We probably won't do too much more because basically, it's a lot harder to fly indoors than I thought it would be. And I think it just shows you that even though the Tello, so I'm just trying to have a good look around the drone as well, just to make sure that nothing looks kind of wrong to me. I mean, think it's level. I think it's level now. You can probably tell by the footage, yeah, it looks level. So yeah, you just have to be very careful. And I think once you do something like that, like you hit something, just looking at the propellers, just making sure everything looks kind of right. It's just, I don't know, to me it just feels a bit of a wacky thing to do. Maybe in a bigger house, this isn't the biggest of houses. I mean, our house over in Bulgaria is a bit bigger than this, and maybe, you know, if we manage to get back over there this year, maybe we could try it again in somewhere bigger like that. But this just, yeah, here just feels like, you know, your sort of smaller townhouse. I don't think it's a good idea to try and to do it, but it's, you know, I think if you go slow, you be really careful. But yeah, the camera issue is, you know, you just, I think when you're paying so much for a drone, I just don't think you want to take a risk really. With the Tello, you know, it's a doable risk. You know, it's quite a good sort of, you know, it's kind of designed for that purpose. Whereas the Mavic Mini, as much as it feels like it's, it does feel more controllable than the Tello. It does feel like you're doing a good job with it, but I think without the prop guards on, I don't know, it just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't feel 100%. You know, I'm going quite slow. I was getting a bit too cocky and going fast earlier. Now I really feel like it can just very easily go towards like an edge. So I'm being very careful. I'm slowly walking around with it, and that's, I don't know, just take some of the fun out of basically doing it. So for me, if I wouldn't do it. For me, I wouldn't do it. I would, you know, this will probably be the last time I attempt this, certainly in this house. So, but yeah, basically just keep a very keen eye on it. I think we've got lucky. I don't think it's done too much damage. Probably not any damage, hopefully. I mean, the propellers are a little bit scuffed up, but they kind of were already. We've hit other things before. We hit the tripod once. So, you know, I just think you can be a bit too, yeah, so you start to go a bit faster and then you realise that, you know, you might be going into something. So, yeah, it's not the best. It's a bit of an unnerving thing. I think it might feel like a cool idea, like a wacky sort of YouTube video idea, but actually in you know, in reality, just have to be very careful. But if you've got a really big house, I think, you know, it's definitely an option. Yeah, so but yeah, you know, as you can see, the picture quality though, compared to the Tello, just fantastic. I mean, we'll try, you know, when I come to edit the video, I'll try and sort of stick some footage of the Tello alongside this, because I don't know, the Tello's footage was nowhere in the same league as this. So, you know, basically, yeah, totally different drone, totally better. Right, let's try and sort of bring it back. Let's bring it back. I mean, I don't think you could do this with anything other than like a Mavic drone, really, because they're just so landing. So I think the thing is, you know, it's not the best thing to do. Turn the recording off there, but it's not the best thing to do because it's a bit scary when it hits something and you think, oh, what damage have I done? Hopefully the gimbal's good now. It looks good to me. I mean, does it look 100% level? I don't know, maybe not, but it may never have been level. It may be the table that's slightly unlevel as well, so you're probably gonna have to get it on a very level surface and make sure that that it is definitely level again. But I think basically there's no issue with getting it level. It's just it needs to re-level itself because it got jolted out of place, and that's what's caused the problem, I think. So yeah, that's not an issue with something like this Tello. The Tello has a fixed camera, as you can see. That basically wouldn't do that. So, you know, you wouldn't have that issue with the Tello. And it's just designed to, I mean, you can get prop guards for these. You know, they kind of encase the whole thing. And yeah, I still think though, you know, if you hit the camera, which, you know, maybe I did, I don't know, I'd have to look back at the footage, but maybe I hit the camera, and that's maybe why it kind of jolted. It definitely knocked the arm back. It knocked this arm back, so that must have kind of twisted up or something and pushed it back. But anyway, yeah, so there's a size difference really, the two sat side by side. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea to fly this indoors unless you sort of live in a warehouse or something like that, because it's, yeah, when it hits something, you start to panic quite a bit. I'm just looking around, making sure everything's good. Motors look right to me. Don't think there's any too much of an issue. I mean, I had it hit a tree. I haven't really had many crashes really in all the times I've been flying a drone, and the only real crashes I've been with the Mini, because it's just so small and maneuverable. But yeah, just look at making sure that all these, yeah, they just look right. Yeah, but I managed to shear off half of the propeller on the Mavic Mini. Yeah, it was on a Mini 2 actually. I was in the park and I didn't notice. And I put it back to start going again, went up, didn't notice a thing. There was no issues with it. The footage all looked good afterwards. So, you know, I was only when I got it home that I realised that part of the propeller had kind of gone. So I was quite amazed that it managed to fly properly. It didn't even seem to, I did a droney and everything. I didn't even notice. So, but yeah, you can see the difference in the, I mean, when I put this footage side by side, you'll be able to see that the difference in the footage is quite, you know, very different. We did stick a 4K camera on top of the Tello as well, and we tried that out. That wasn't very successful, but even that camera just didn't compare with the Mavic Mini's 4K camera. So the other one was 4K, but it didn't compare at all. So Tello, your 720p, stream to your phone. You get network lag in there. You sometimes get some drop frames. That's an issue. On this one, you get 4K 30 frames a second. You get really nice footage. I mean, basically, looking at the picture on this, just on this phone, I haven't seen the actual footage, but just looking at the controller and seeing the phone picture quality, it's very bright. It's basically sorted out the white balance. The white balance looks really good. It looks like it's like a vibrant kind of white. You know, it's well lit up. So the sensor in this is doing a good job compared to what we had with the Tello, which just looked a bit dingy. Obviously it was 720p. Pretty much everything nowadays is like 1080p or 4K upwards. So, you know, you know, Tello sort of, basically what would be really cool is if they could bring out a new Tello that had a 4K camera on it. You know, maybe, I mean, I don't think you'll get the gimbal, but maybe like, you know, try and get 4K, you know, electronic image stabilization on there. That would be fantastic. Because really, I think it should really be doable now. Like after these few years since this has come out, I think they should be able really to get a Tello, you know, to go indoors. And because really the feeling was totally different. Like you prefer the controller on the Mavic Mini because it feels solid. The issues were with the Tello was that you had your GameSir controller, which was Bluetooth to your phone. The Tello would auto switch itself off to save power. The game controller and the app would disconnect, and it's Wi-Fi to it. So basically, you have to reconnect to its Wi-Fi. You have to restart it, connect to its Wi-Fi. All that kind of hassle. That doesn't happen. I mean, as you can see, the Mavic Mini is sat there. The you know, the connection on the app is still going. I could start it up again, you know, now. And I could start flying again. It doesn't time out. It doesn't kind of stop running. So you know, if you could bring a bit more of that experience to the Tello. I think the issue is with the Tello that the battery power just isn't there. So they're kind of trying to preserve power, whereas the Mini has got a decent battery in it. The controller has a decent battery in it. The phone obviously is fine. I think that's the thing. I think it's hard to do that with a small drone. But the thing is, when we were flying the Tello in the previous video, it was just flying around. We were having a great fun with it. We weren't worried about hitting anything. You weren't worried about damaging anything. It, you know, I was, when that hit the side there, went down, I just thought, oh no, I hope I haven't damaged it like irreparably. And when you've paid, like, you know, what I paid, about 500 odd pounds for that versus 60 pounds for that, you're talking, you know, sort of a 10 times price difference between the two. That drone there, even I mean, it's not just the price difference. I mean, of course, yes, I can afford to lose this more than I can afford to lose this one. That's without saying. I think the issue with the Tello was that it just felt a bit more like it was designed to fly around indoors. Your feeling of it felt like it was the right drone for that job. The Mini, that feels similar to the Tello, but outdoors. So outdoors, you're like, you can turn on a sixpence, you're moving around, you can do really sort of like quite tight angles, and you feel like you can maneuver really well compared to some other drones. You know, certainly compared to Xenos and other larger drones that just kind of sway around everywhere. DJIs just hold their position really well. The Tello feels like the Mini indoors feels outdoors. That drone I was just too worried. Once I'd hit the wall, I was like, you know, and I was sort of thinking, oh, I really hope I don't hit anything. And I thought I'll probably be fine because I'll go really slow. But you just get a tiny bit cocky, you hit that wall. So yes, minimum prop guards, but I still think how you can't really protect that gimbal. You know, I think, you know, space is your friend with an outdoor style drone. So yeah, unless you've got a big area to work with, I don't know. For me, I just think don't fly this indoors, fly this one indoors. And this is like, you know, $100. In fact, you'll probably find it cheaper. You'll find it on eBay, Craigslist. You know, those things are so much cheaper. You can get all the parts for it. The propellers just pop off, pop them back on. You know, don't break your Mini 2 like I nearly did and possibly may have done. You know, it's not worth it. This one, you can break this one probably to your heart's content and keep fixing it. All the parts will be available. So anyway, we had a bit of fun. We flew around. I thought, you know, we talked about whether you could do the Mavic Mini indoors. You can. So we tried it, but don't recommend it. So anyway, thanks very much for watching. I hope that was useful to you. I hope it's not broken and that we'll take it out for another flight outdoors soon. You know, hopefully we're good. I don't think it is. It looks pretty level to me. I mean, nothing's 100% level, is it? Anyway, in this room, I don't think the floor's level. Certainly wasn't when I was doing the laminate. So I think it's probably all right. But thanks very much for watching. I hope that's useful to you. I hope that gives you an idea of what you can expect trying to fly indoors. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. If you'd like to be notified, please click the notifications bell so you get notified of new videos. Please, if you could click like if you like the video, and if you could share to your friends, that'd be great. So thanks very much for watching. It's been great as always. We'll see you again in the next one.